Welcome to the Stronger Marriage Podcast. We're Trey and Lee Morgan in Lubbock, Texas, and we're glad you've joined us today.
Yeah, it's been a minute. We kind of took a little time off to enjoy the holidays, and so we hope that y'all had a Merry Christmas with your families and all of those activities that came along with that.
We're excited about today's podcast as we're going to talk a little bit about marriage resolutions versus marriage goals and kind of the difference in those and some things that maybe you could sit down with your spouse and talk about it, maybe some things you'd like to accomplish.
Yeah. We a lot of times we'll see something really cool that a couple's doing on social media and you'll say, ooh, couple goals. So that's kind of what relationship goals we're going to talk about today.
Yeah.
Is how we can make our relationships better, move together in the new year to better our relationships. So
yeah, I think that sounds great. We'll take off. Let's talk a little bit about this.
So a shout out to our friends Jacob and Suzanne Hawk.
Yes.
Who inspired this episode. They had put a post on social media a few days ago. They said that they reserve the last day of every year, or December 30th maybe, of every year to just sort of take inventory of the previous year and to kind of, see where they can improve and set new goals, whether it's spiritual, emotional, financial, but they set new goals for the upcoming year. And they said it's one of their favorite dates. I think they go out to dinner and maybe, they take pen and paper or whatever and actually just talk about, do some evaluating and talk about where they want to move in the new year. So we thought, what a great thing for couples to focus on in the new year. So you may be thinking, well, we're already nearly a week into the new year, but it's not too late to set goals going forward.
Yeah, and it's not too late to sit down and have a date and go, hey, let's talk about some things we want to accomplish this year, some things we want to do better this year. I love the fact that they're setting new spiritual, emotional, financial, all these goals. We're going to talk about some of these in our podcast, but just ways in which we could go, hey, we really we're weak in this area, and how could we strengthen this area that we don't do very well on? That's just a very healthy thing to do, is to take this look and just kind of stop and ask yourself, how are we doing? Because if you never ask yourself, you're never going to grow and you're never going to improve.
Right. Yeah. So, this time of year, everybody's making New Year's resolutions, and the big joke is, how long are they going to last? 2 weeks, whatever. But we like to think in terms more of goals rather than, resolutions. Let's set a goal that we can work on in the new year. And so, relationship goals can include milestones that you want to achieve together, like maybe taking a big trip or buying a home. These are things that have to be planned, but they should also go deeper than that. Relationship goals should be centered around strengthening your emotional intimacy between the two of you. And so that's really, we're going to talk about, the simplistic things as well as the deeper things during this episode.
Marriage is all about connection, and we want to be connected, and this will help us to connect more with our spouse.
Yeah. And the reason why it's great, that I love that the Hawks do this at the end of every year is because relationship goals evolve as your relationship grows and changes. What might have been a priority in the early stages of your relationship, it may not be a priority at all anymore. So it's important to revisit that and to adjust your goals and to, ensure that you're both still on the same page and working towards the same things.
Marriage changes. We're in a different stage of life. You're going to always be in different stages of life as you go. And so, the goals we had 20 years ago don't match and fit what we're doing now.
Yeah. So let's talk about why, just briefly before we actually give some examples of some things that you might want to talk about, some goals that you might want to set for your marriage. Let's talk about why goals are actually important to have in a relationship. Right off the bat, they provide a sense of direction and purpose. So, they help couples agree on where they're headed and what they want to achieve together.
And it's good when a a husband and a wife can sit down and do this together. This is going to be a team thing. This is not you really can't make goals by yourself, unfortunately. As much as you would love to go, here's our goals for this new year, you've got to get your spouse on board.
Right.
And maybe you're sitting there thinking, my spouse will not be willing to at least try, put out some effort to go, hey, can we talk about maybe some things that we'd like to do in 2025 as a couple?
Yeah, and if you're going to achieve a goal, it's going to take some planning. Great marriages don't just happen by accident. We talk about that all the time. There's got to be some intentionality there. There's got to be some planning there. There's got to be some discussions there. And so, that's what working together is all about. So it also provides open and honest communication. This gives you time to evaluate, how did we do this last year? Where do we need to improve some things? You can openly share your needs and your expectations going forward. So
this is really good. Again, healthy relationship to go, this is not a time for me to beat up my spouse. It is not time to be negative about stuff, but it is a time to go, hey, I would love it, if we would spend less time on our phones in the evenings and maybe more time doing this. Or I would love it if we would work harder to have some time together in the evening times to maybe try to go to bed at the same time. Whatever it is, to be able to open the communication doors up to go, this is what I'm really feeling.
Yeah, that's great. It encourages couples. It encourages a couple to work together. Teamwork. It's all about teamwork, and that's essential for tackling challenges. So you've both got to be on the same page. You've both got to make sure that whatever goal you're setting is important to both of you. Is going to bed together important to both of you? Is spending more time together in the evenings important to both of you? And so work on things together, celebrate your successes, make decisions together, your partners, your teammates in marriage.
I can't set goals for the both of us and go, this is what you're going to do.
Exactly. Yeah. It also cultivates emotional intimacy, which is, huge in marriage. That's what marriage is actually all about. So goals related to emotional connection, such as improving communication or understanding each other's love languages, that's going to help deepen your emotional intimacy. So that's another reason why this is important. It helps couples navigate conflict more effectively. If you're openly talking about, what you're working toward, then you're more likely to approach disagreements constructively when you're keeping the bigger picture in mind.
Yep, that is very, very true.
Let's see, what else? It encourages personal growth. Relationship goals often include supporting each other's personal growth and dreams. So it's all about mutual encouragement. Maybe there is something goal-wise that's more important to one than it is to the other. But when you're teammates, you're gonna encourage your teammate. Mm-hmm. You want your teammate to do well and to win because you're teammates. And so, of course, you're going to encourage each other in whatever personal things they have going on as well.
Yeah. I remember once as a younger couple, we had, I think we were trying to save up for a trip. And I think what we had decided to do is we would take, anytime we got a $5 bill back in change, we'd take a $5 bill and stash it away in our little box. And it was kind of our goal. And sometimes it would be, hey, let's see where we are on our trip money. That was kind of our goal. We didn't have a lot of funds at that time in our world to just take off and go on a big trip. But that was one of the things that we said at the first of the year, and it became a fun thing, something that we both look forward to. And that is one of those trips you look back on and go, hey, we put a lot of effort into making this trip work. Mm-hmm. It was a fun goal.
Yes, for sure. It builds resilience when you set goals. By setting and working towards goals, couples learn to face challenges together. They learn to adapt to changes together. They become stronger together. Resilience is crucial for long-term stability in a relationship.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's that glue that holds things together.
It is. And it also helps couples to understand and appreciate progress. So it's great when you can, at the end of the year, to look back and go, how did we do? And you can see, hey, we actually, we made date night a priority and we did well with that. And you can celebrate, hey, we made some progress. So that's why, setting goals is important. You can actually see some progress happening.
We live in a time where we want instant whatever it is, just instant, and we want all our goals to be done instantly. We want to have immediate this and immediate that, and sometimes especially if it involves making some changes in your marriage. Sometimes it's some baby steps. If you've done something a certain way for years and years and years, and all of a sudden you come along and go, we're going to make some changes. It helps if you can do this over a year and then look back and go, hey, we made some progress. And maybe next year we can make some more progress. And so that resilience is going to be something that really plays a big part in the health of your marriage.
Yeah. Okay. So we talked about why it's important to set goals. So let's talk about some goals that couples might actually want to set.
Okay.
Some examples of some couple goals. You start there?
Yeah.
Okay, so we actually ran across this.
Yeah, this was, we were just zipping through today and somebody wrote off a few goals that they had for their marriage. This was on Instagram, and I thought some of these were good. It said they had quite a few that they had sat down and talked about together. They said, we are resolving to put our cell phones away during any meal that we have together. I think that's fantastic. That's
good.
Kind of a rule of ours.
We've kind of had that rule for a long time.
Anytime you have a meal together and you get to sit down, you don't need to be looking at your cell phone. Another one of theirs was we resolved to have a consistent date night on the calendar twice a month. I thought that was great. We would love for you to do more than twice a month, but if that's all you can do, that should be a minimum, twice a month to have a date night on the calendar. I loved this one. Their third one was I resolved to help my husband or my wife with a household chore that are typically only on their plate, meaning, if you're the one that does the cooking most of the time, or if you're the one that does the lawn mowing, but whatever it is, that you're going to go out of your way to help them on whatever it is.
Yeah, it says they say they're trying to do that at least once a week.
I love it.
Something that their spouse normally does at least once a week, they're going to try to do that.
Another one of theirs was they are resolving to initiate love making a certain amount of times a week, which I think is great. This obviously gave them a chance to sit down and kind of talk about what they wanted to do, and this was kind of what they shot for on their goal. And I think the fact that you have communication about how often, frequency things take place sexually in your marriage is a very healthy thing.
Yeah, for sure. They resolved to try 5 new restaurants this year. So that's just a fun one. That's fun to throw some of those things like that
Some
out.
people try 5 in a month,
Yeah, right.
We're just looking for Tex-Mex, Mexican food, We like to find ways to give thanks for specific things each day. Those were some of the ones on there. Let's see. I thought this was fantastic. This is called continuing education. Every couple should do this. We resolved to read 2 marriage books together throughout the year. I just think that's great. That blessed us immensely as a young couple when we read marriage books together, and that is just something that is necessary. I think it's just really good. They said we resolved to go see a marriage counselor to improve our marriage. You don't always have to see a marriage counselor
when you're having trouble.
When you're having trouble. Sometimes you can work through some things. Number 11 may have been my favorite. They said we're going to pray together daily. And I thought that was good. That is part of their goal to do that. A few others they had, they were going to try and do some volunteer work together and compliment. I loved 15. We resolved to compliment each other in front of our children daily so they can witness what a happy, healthy, godly relationship looks like. That is absolutely fantastic.
Yes.
Man.
Yeah. So that's just a few of the things that they are working toward in the new year that we thought were fantastic. So
let's talk about some that we have on our list.
Some specific.
Yep.
So communication goals. Now this can be a lot of things, but it's important. You might want to set up some categories. And first category would be, okay, what are our communication goals? Maybe you need to be better at listening to your spouse. Maybe you need to be better at expressing your needs more openly. Maybe you need to be better at resolving conflict constructively. So whatever your communication goals are, talk about that. Talk about, where maybe you could improve in the area of communication. So
maybe it is less time on the phone in the evenings. Maybe you need to set a time going, hey, after 8 o'clock, we're not going to spend our time scrolling on a phone anymore. We're going to just spend time together. But that communication goal is so important because communication is kind of the health of your relationship.
Yeah, it's kind of where everything starts. So another category, if you want to call it that, might be intimacy goals. This couple that we were just talking about, they said we're going to try to initiate sex X amount of times. Well, that's going to be different for every couple, but that's a good thing to talk about.
Sure.
But this could also include, this doesn't have to be sexual intimacy. This could be just prioritizing quality time together.
Yeah.
This might be, we're going to go on a date once a week. It might be, showing more affection to each other.
Learning one another's love language.
If you don't know each other's love language, you need to find out, take the love language test, and, make that your goal. I'm going to speak my spouse's love language in some way, every day if possible.
Yeah. We say this all the time. Intimacy is what separates roommates from soulmates. Roommates are not intimate in any form or fashion. They don't flirt. They don't hold hands. They're not sexually involved. And so if you want your marriage to be more than just roommates, you have to have intimacy involved. You've got to work hard to have some intimate goals.
Yep. So another category is personal growth goals. And this can include a lot of things. This could be supporting each other's careers. This could be pursuing new hobbies together.
Yeah, learning something new. That is fantastic.
Try something new together. Just say, hey, we're gonna learn how to play pickleball this year, or whatever it is.
That sounds terrible.
It does sound terrible. Okay. I was just trying to think of something that people really enjoy.
All our pickleball friends are going, we love pickleball.
Our joints can't handle pickleball. But yeah. It might be encouraging self-improvement. Maybe it's saying, hey, we're going to take a walk together, 20 to 30 minute walk together every evening after supper. That is that's a self-improvement thing. That's something that you can do together.
That is a health goal that will connect you as you talk and walk and everything else.
So personally, one of our self-improvement things that we've said that we want to try to do better at with each other is watching our tone. Not getting so easily frustrated, and kind of catching ourselves when we find ourselves getting frustrated and thinking about what we're going to say and how we're going to say it. So yeah, personal growth is definitely a great category to talk about. The next one is life milestones.
Those are big things like buying a home, or even getting married, or planning for children, taking a dream vacation, any of those. But those are things you talk about. Lee and I have started talking about one for maybe a big anniversary date coming up down the road. Personally, we can't just up and take a giant anniversary trip just whenever. This is something that's going to require a lot of planning, a goal, and everything else. And so those are life milestones that you just have to stop and go, hey, let's make this a goal. Let's figure out how to make this work, and let's start doing some planning on it, some talking about it.
Yeah. Which kind of leads into another category, which would be financial goals. It's important to make sure you're on the same page financially. If there is an area that you need to be saving up for, how we need to work that into our budget. If you don't have a budget, this is a great time to figure out a budget and figure out, where is our money going? Where would we like our money to go? So I think there's several apps out there that can help you set budgets. And
this is one we've done in our past where we have had some financial goals that have helped us have emergency funds, pay off some debt, different things along those lines. And so we have to work hard. And now we look back and go, I'm glad we set those goals, because we did get out of some debt that was unhealthy debt and different things. But those are all things that at some point you've got to have a conversation about and say, let's try to figure out how to do this.
Yeah. We took a financial peace course, Dave Ramsey, that really helped us, to set a budget, to keep a budget, those kinds of things. There's an app that somebody mentioned called the Every Dollar app that they used to help them figure out, where is our money going? And then from that point, they could set a budget and move forward. Yeah. So Every Dollar app, if that's something that you need to work on, maybe some financial goals and setting a budget, you might want to check that out.
Spiritual goals. Maybe reading your Bible together every day. And maybe if you can't find time to read it together, maybe you read the same text. And then before bed, you talk about what you've read. Maybe have a Bible reading plan or doing a Bible study together, a Bible study book. Any of those things would be great just to have some spiritual goals together. One of the ones we read earlier was praying together. What a great spiritual goal. Maybe attending church together. Any of those things would be what you would consider a big spiritual goal. And I think all of those will help bring that intimacy together that we've talked about.
Yeah. So just, in summary, it's always good to evaluate and say, how are we doing? And we like to do even just kind of some regular check-ins throughout the year, which would be great to incorporate, maybe once a month. Say, okay, how are we doing on our goals? Do we need to kind of step it up a notch? But those regular check-ins are good. And I think especially, that year end, okay, how did we do? And what do we want to focus on going into the new year? Is just a pretty great way to kick off a year as a couple together.
It is. And you don't have to start it right now. You might be able to find, it may be 2 weeks before you get a date and sit down with your spouse and go, let's talk about some things that we can figure out. Let them listen to this podcast and y'all sit down and maybe talk about the examples of communication goals, intimacy goals, personal growth goals, life milestone goals, any of those spiritual goals that you have.
Financial.
All of those are going to be goals that you can just kind of sit down and kind of work through and go, hey, let's see what we can do to maybe not make a New Year's resolution, but just to say, hey, we're going to set some goals in our marriage to see if we can do this better. Well, there you go.
There you go. We hope we gave you some inspiration, some things to think about that you can, some goals that you can set for your marriage. And you may have thought of some totally different ones that we didn't even mention or think of. If you've got some goals that you're working on, we'd love to hear it.
Yeah, share them with us. Yeah, reach out to us. Let us know. We would love to know what your goals are or what your plans are for this year. That would be a great thing. Thank y'all for joining us, and we hope y'all have a very blessed 2025. We'll see y'all in a couple of weeks.
Yep. Bye, guys.